I know we've got supervision next week, but I wanted to have a chat with you about Sophie. Um,
Right.
because I'm just wondering how
Hang on.
you are.
Sorry, Jenny. So this isn't supervision.
Well, it's not like a formal supervision. What I wanted to
S-
do was have a let me finish.
Sorry.
Was to have a catch up because I wanted to see where you were up to in terms of the work you're doing with Sophie. And what I wanted to do was dedicate some time just to talk about Sophie and the work you've been doing with her.
Okay.
So I just kind of wanted a bit of a feedback from you. How do you feel that you're working with her? How do you think it's going? That sort of stuff, really.
Uh, I mean, obviously, obviously, you think that it's not going very well because we're sat here now having a conversation. I don't really understand Sophie, if I'm to be honest. I'm trying to, um, but I find it very difficult. I'm at odds with a lot of things in this job, and in particular with this case. So um, it's not. I think Jenny. I try and do the best job that I can do with everybody that I'm allocated.
Mhm.
Um, but I have quite strong views around certain things, and I'm trying to not make it about me. I'm trying to park those up. Um, but they're a prominent part of my life, so it's hard.
Mhm. And I think you've been really brave calling it out for yourself there, David. Honestly, I really do. And it's not that I think things aren't going great. I just have seen a real difference in usually when you're talking about the clients that you're working with, you've got quite high energy, you're dead professional, you're one of the team's shining stars, and I talk a lot to Jeremy about, I'm really proud to be working with you, that you're a really valued member of the team. So it's felt quite different with the work that you're doing with Sophie.
That I might not be the right person for Sophie.
Mhm. So I'm interested again because you've worked with gay and lesbian couples and have had none of these feelings that I've been aware of. And I
Yeah,
think I'm going to just pop up the Graces model. Do you know about the Graces model?
yeah, of course.
So it's thinking about, where you sit within this, but also where Sophie fits within this and what might be most important to her and what might well be most important to you. And
Mm.
I guess my interest is because it's please don't see it as a challenge or anything else. I'm genuinely interested. What is it that's different with the gay couples that you've worked with versus the difficulties in working with Sophie?
You're not going to like this. You're not going to like it, but it's for the same reason that I have an issue with genetically modified crops.
Mhm.
You're playing God. You're messing with the pinnacle of God's work.
Mhm.
Humans were made in God's image.
Mhm.
And, for me and for, you know, the people that I belong to, if you like, in want of better words,
Mhm.
that's sacrilege.
Mhm.
That's, that's against God. And that's a very, very strong feeling
Yeah.
that we have.
Do you think Sophie may have picked up on your feelings towards her?
Yes, yes. And, I think my defensiveness at the start is that I feel like I'm coming up short and it's not something I'm comfortable with. And what makes me even more comfortable is that it's obvious to Sophie that I have an issue. I don't know if she knows what it. I'm pretty certain that she knows it's because of the fact that she's trans.
Mm.
Um, but I don't. I've not preached or anything like that. I've not.
Mhm.
It tried to force my beliefs onto Sophie or anything like that. So I
Mm.
don't know if Sophie understands the motivation behind it, which concerns me more because I hate the idea of being a bigot, but I guess, you know, I don't know. I'm conflicted. I don't know.
Mm. And it's one of those things that, when we go out and we see clients or potential clients, we're doing our assessments, there's huge chunks of us that we almost have to put in our bag by the door so that they don't come out
Mm.
on that assessment with us. And, some bits, some good bits we might want to keep, that we're shaped and molded by our childhood, by our culture, our religion, our families, all of those sorts of things. And we'll be able to take some really good stuff with us, but it's how comfortable or confident are we about checking the stuff that might be a hindrance to us as social workers at the door when we're going in to do assessments?
Yeah, yeah, and that I guess that's what I'm struggling with is that
Mm.
separation. How I do that in this instance.
I'm going to ask you a really blunt question.
Okay.
You ready?
Mhm.
Do you want to deal with it, or would you rather just put it in a box and pretend it's not there?
It's like both at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
It's like I know that if I want to continue to call myself a social worker, this is something I've got to get past. But at the same time, how do um yeah, I don't even know what the question is in regards to how I um get the two to marry up, you know?
And I guess that's why I asked you whether you actually wanted to. And it's really interesting because again, I'm seeing the professional and the personal.
Mm.
Conflict's the wrong word, but that interplay, isn't it? It's that
Yeah,
dichotomy
yeah,
bit where, well, actually, this is me. I'm a devout Christian. This is my belief system. But actually, I'm also, as a social worker, I'm very inclusive. I'm very welcoming. I'm non-judgmental, and that's the
yeah,
dichotomy, isn't it, for you?
yeah.
If you were me,
Uh-huh.
what would you be thinking? What would you be suggesting?
You see, I did my issue with that kind of phrasing, right? And I've heard that my whole career. If I was you, or if you
Yeah.
were me, and we use it with people that we support, don't we? Quite often, is that I'm not right, and I'm me. So I can't put myself into somebody else's mindset with it, and I think that's part of the issue. Um, if it was just a simple case of pretending that I felt differently about something, um, then it wouldn't be a concern. I got into this kind of work because I have fundamental beliefs around certain things, social justice being one of them. And I know that seems contrary, um, but I just can't. I can't put myself into a mindset of where that is acceptable. I just can't. I've tried and I can't.
Mhm.
Um, and that's what I'm struggling with ultimately.
So we've got, and I guess the reason you're asked that question is, and I, completely respect your response, but it's a bit of, do you know what, if you were able to make the decision about what to do in this situation,
Mm.
what would it be?
Well, I mean, I obviously want to be able to do my job effectively for everybody. Um, so yeah, I mean, what I want is what I've just said that I can't do really, is to be able to get to a place where I can do it, but disconnect it from,
Hmm.
other thought processes that go on in my mind,
Hmm.
around it. Um,
Because
yeah,
sometimes I guess I, whether it might just be Sophie herself, so not Sophie's beliefs or Sophie's, gender identity or her trans position, but it might just be her as a person that you're not resonating with.
yeah, I think there's some truth to that. Um, but I think maybe I've contributed to that
Mm.
by being a little bit or being, obviously standoffish about certain things, or it might have come across as disregarding of certain things, maybe. But I just didn't know how to respond, I guess. I just